Ready.
All right, welcome everyone to the Media Center, both in person and virtually. I'm sitting next to Michelle Wie West, our tournament host for this week's Mizuho America's Open. Michelle, welcome. My first question for you as I kick things off, just how important and special is it for you to be hosting our inaugural event this week on the LPGA Tour?
Yeah, it's been a dream come true for me. It's always something that I've dreamt of doing since I was a little girl, since I was a junior, and just so honored that Mizuho Americas has asked me to be the host of this event. Something that I thought would happen 10, 20 years from now, but it happened so fast, and it's amazing. And Mizuho Americas has been an amazing partner. This week has been unbelievable, and I can't believe it's here. Thank you all for being here. It's going to be an amazing week.
The AJGA aspect is certainly unique this week. I'm wondering how important it was to get the AJGA girls involved with the LPGA players this week.
Yeah, that was something that Mizuho and I really aligned on super early on. They wanted to make this event be elevated. They want their pillars in their own company is to, empower women and to advance the next generation. And that's exactly what we're doing here at Mizuho America's Open. We're elevating the women, we're empowering them. We're also advancing the next generation with the top 24 AJGA juniors in the field. And that's something that is, super near and dear to my heart. Because as you all know, I've played in LPGA events since I was 12, 13. So I was in their shoes, being inside the ropes with these girls, and it changed my life. And I think this week will, change a lot of lives. And, it's one thing for girls to watch, other women on the TV. It's another thing to watch them in person outside the ropes. And it's a whole nother thing for young women to watch other women inside the ropes, competing alongside them. And it's going to be an amazing week. Mizuho is very passionate about elevating the women's game. The steps that they have made this week, paying for everyone's room in New York City, doing the ferry system just like how the PGA Tour does it, and then also incorporating the AJGA girls. It's just incredible.
Speaking of you playing on the LPGA Tour, we see you playing with us less, but how important is it for you to still be involved with the LPGA, hosting events, and what can we expect for you next with the LPGA?
It's honestly so much fun since I've stepped away from playing. I've really gotten to spend the time that I have really doing things I'm passionate about, and I'm really passionate about the LPGA. I'm really passionate about junior girls. I'm really passionate about making golf a better place for everyone. And it's just been so amazing to actually have the time to focus on those things, but also have the opportunity, like with Mizuho and this event, to actually put things in action and not just dream about it, think about it, but actually make all these big dreams into actionable items, and to have a partner like Mizuho that believes in the exact same thing. And it's just fun to brainstorm with the company that aligns so closely to you. I remember in our one of our first meetings, we were talking about venues. Being at Liberty National, Mizuho wanted to have an iconic event, and the only place we could think about was Liberty National. But we also were like, okay, we're so close to New York City, hotel rooms are so expensive, and it's been really fun, to have Mizuho be like, okay, we'll pay for everyone's room. And I know that may not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but for female athletes like myself, it's a huge deal. The amount of money that we invest into every single week is a lot, and I think this week it just eases it a little bit for the players. And I think the players are being treated like how they always should be, and hopefully will create a ripple effect for other events.
If any media in the room have questions, we have a standing mic back here for you all, and I have the Zoom open for anyone with questions as well.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having us this week. You look back like 15 years ago. Would you ever have expected this to be where you're at in your life now? Not only are you a successful mother and obviously a businesswoman, but you're out here changing the game and doing things and really acting like a founder, I think is one thing that you really pillar on. So, I mean, is that something that you would have seen yourself doing 15 years ago, and what does it mean to be able to do that?
Yeah, I dreamt of it. I just count my blessings every single day. I have a beautiful daughter, and just being able to host such a beautiful event, it's a dream come true for me. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but it's fun because I feel like when I was playing was the only thing on my mind and the only thing I allowed myself to think of. And I've always been the person. Obviously, I went to college while playing golf. I've done a million other things, but it was always like there was always like a sense of guilt, if I'm being honest. I mean, like, okay, I'm not fully putting 110%, but I had always had these dreams of like wanting to, do things like this. So it's fun. It's fun to have the time and, the space, in my mind to really go for it and just feel really blessed.
You inspired a generation when you came out in the early 2000s, especially those of Asian American descent. But what does it mean to now inspire the next generation of these really talented players in the AJGA with this event?
Yeah, we had a welcome party for all the juniors yesterday, and it was so much fun. It's also just amazing to see so many different ethnicities being represented in the younger generation. These are the future of the game. These are the next future stars. These are the girls that will carry the sport on for generations to come. And this is why it's so important that Mizuho America's Open is including these top 24 juniors, because it's not just about the current players on tour right now. It's about the next generation, because they are the ones that will be carrying the sport. So I was so pleased to see yesterday so many, different ethnicities, different, looking girls. It's just great. I mean, the future looks very bright.
Michelle, for those who don't follow the LPGA much, but will perhaps see the beautiful skyline and tune in this weekend, why do venues matter so much to this tour?
Oh, I've said this so many times. Venues, and I will say it for anyone that will listen, venues are so incredibly important in elevating the women's game. And I think the reason is that people want to be able to recognize the courses that we play. It's people, I think that's why the Masters is one of the most highly watched sporting events, is because the spectators, even though many of them have never played it, they memorized every single shot that Tiger has ever played on that golf course, that Phil has ever played on that golf course, and they know that when someone tees off, that they know exactly. When they watch the LPGA Tour, and let's say we play a golf course that people don't recognize, it's hard to get highly invested in it. Mizuho America's Open, being here at Liberty National, the President's Cup was here, Northern Trust. People recognize this golf course, and that is so important in, getting new fans, and that's how you grow the game, grow the purses, and that's how we eventually will close the pay gap.
And this is a big week for Rose Zhang, and you've been in her shoes with that transition. What's your best advice for her moving from the amateur ranks to the professional ranks with so much expectation?
Yeah, no, she is a rock star. She has literally won, every single thing that she could have won. So this is a very natural step for her. I think she spent more time being world number one than I think more weeks that I stayed an amateur. So I'm incredibly proud of her. I think it's just so great to see how much she's loving Stanford as well. It seems like the team dynamic is so great. I've spent a lot of time talking with her about finishing her degree. I'm so proud that she's decided to do that, and hopefully, she'll get her degree as well. But she's loving school. She's loving it, and I think she's going to do great. I think she's going to transition great. She's played the U.S. Open. She's played a couple big events, but I always know that, debut week is, always nerve-wracking. I very vividly remember mine. It didn't turn out the way I hope so. Hopefully it will go better for her this week. But yeah, no, I think she's going to do great. I think, she is a rock star, and I cannot wait to see what she does on tour.
If I could just ask one follow-up about Stanford specifically, have you shared with her why it was important for you to get that degree and what that meant to you?
Yeah, I don't think I even have to explain it. I didn't even have to explain it to her. She knows. I mean, she loves being at college. She loves the life. She loves the school and studying and the team dynamic. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different now. We're called civilians. The ones that were on NCAA teams. She's now will be a civilian on campus. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't even need to explain it to her. She knows. She wants to do it. It's just a matter of it seems impossible. It seems impossible to get a degree and to play full time on tour. And I think it just telling her that you can do it. It is possible, and appeasing her in that way, I think, went a long way. But yeah, I didn't really have to do much explaining. I think once you go, you just kind of, it's just so amazing. You want to be there. You never want to leave.
Thank you.
We have one here on our right.
Thanks. Hey, Michelle. First a follow-up on what you just said about your first week and how kind of it was a mess. I don't know if you use that word, but take me back to that debut and what were the emotions like and how did you manage them? Any specifics would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I played great. I came in 4th. I don't know if anyone remembers that. This is what happened afterwards. It probably made more than news. I played great, though. I almost topped the first drive, though. I remember hitting a 3-wood on the first hole because I was so nervous, and I thinned it so hard, and it, barely left the ground. And I know I hit a low stinger, but I was trying not to hit a stinger. I was actually trying to hit it high, and it went so low, and I think it skimmed the grass. But it got there. It went straight. I played great. I was nervous as hell all 4 days. And yeah, I mean, I still think to this day that I did nothing wrong. I dropped in the right place. But, that's a whole different story. But, you live and you learn. Things happen for a reason. But yeah, it was an interesting week, but I had fun. I played great, and that's what I'm going to focus on.
Okay. And then another one on Rose. I think I read recently that she feels like this may be her just being humble, that there have been better, more talented players sort of at her, at her level of her career where she is now.
There is no better player than her at that
That was
level.
my first question.
Yeah.
And the second one is just beyond just her being super talented, what intangibles does she have that other players don't? She's a great golfer, but what else does she have that the other players lack?
Yeah, I mean, I think she proved that she's a great golfer, and the fact that she can handle herself when the pressure's on her. You saw it Anwell this year, back-to-back NCAA champion, and she's done that with all the eyeballs on her. And this NIL landscape, it's a whole different story than it was before. So having sponsors on top of that, I mean, she's already living a life very similar to a professional golfer. I mean, she has contracts, she has sponsor obligations. Winning the Anwell in the NCAA with sponsors is a big deal. I played with her last year at the U.S. Open. She's just a great girl. Very even keel on the golf course. It's just looks easy for her when she plays. I've definitely made the game look very hard when I've played, but she makes it look easy. And I'm really excited for her. Incredibly honored that she chose this week to make her debut. And I'm very excited for her.
I have a question on the Zoom. Kent, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Michelle, you spoke to your passion for the LPGA earlier. What other parts of the tour would you like to impact in the post-playing act of your career?
I spent the last 2 years being on the player director board, and I learned a lot about the business side of things, the sides that we as players usually don't see. I'm very close with Molly, the commissioner. We talk all the time, and just always love, giving my 2 cents and, try to help wherever I can. Always try to keep an open communication. Obviously I would love to, continue to help the tour get more recognition, help the players get more support, help the players get more recognition. And we're just trying to close the pay gap. We're trying to elevate our purses, elevate dining, elevate the fan experience, statistics on our tour. There's so many areas where we're working on, and I'm just lending a hand, lending an ear whenever the tour or Molly wants it.
Thanks, Michelle.
Beth Ann has another.
Being here with you almost 10 years ago for a tour after you won the U.S. Women's Open. I don't think a player's done that since. I know that's your next start. What did you think playing Pebble Beach for the first time, and are you getting practice in now?
Yeah, practice. Yeah, it's happening. I did a nice range session on Sunday here. The range is very nice. I can personally attest to that. But yeah, I played the back nine at Pebble. Still have yet to play the front nine. Back nine was great though. It's Pebble Beach is a special golf course. It's really cool. It's just breathtaking, first off, but also the little, kooky little features on the golf course I think are so cool, and so iconic. Every time you just go there, you're just like, wow, it just takes your breath away. But yeah, in terms of practice, I'm definitely starting to ramp it up. Obviously, this week is a busy week for me, so starting next week, it'll be in full swing.
And what do you remember about that tour of the city, almost 10 years ago, and the importance of the LPGA being in this market?
I think I blacked out during that entire stage. I was just couldn't believe this was happening. It was such a surreal experience. Being on the shows, carrying the trophy around the city. New York City is one of my favorite cities in the whole world, and it's just so amazing how big the city is. And that was one of the reasons why Mizuho and I wanted to bring this event to New York City and take advantage of that. And that's why it's so important for the players to stay in New York City. I think it's just so great, the opportunities for eyeballs. Liberty National is an iconic golf course. New York City is an iconic city. And I think just kind of having both of them, makes the tournament just so iconic. But, the New York City is it's just amazing. I love it. And my experience in 2014, I honestly don't remember much of it because I think I just felt like I was dreaming. I was like, what is happening?
Thank you.
All right, any more questions here? All right, well, thank you so much, Michelle Wie West. All right.